Actually not that bad for the first time making this kind of music. Today is a bit different. Today I don't know what I will produce later in the studio. I asked you guys to suggest me a musical style that I should try out to get a bit of inspiration for my Not Scared track. So let's check out the comments. Just 1 second. It's a bit cold in here. Okay, I'm already excited. I just hope no one suggested Schlager music. First suggestion is Deep House New Disco Indie Dance. I already did that a lot. I love that style of music, but I feel like I've already done enough. Progressive House, also something I really love, especially the deeper kinds of Progressive House, but I've also done a lot of that in the past. The next one is Future Bass. Quite interesting, especially because I already started making half-beat future bass drum things kind of in the bridge of my tracks. So yeah, interesting. Next one also, I'd like to hear some future bass from you. So already 2 for future bass. Trance, not really my type of music. If it's really like the typical trance, if it's more progressive house, I like it again. Actually, my very first release was a remix for a trance guy, and it's probably the most tranciest song I've ever made, and I think this one is enough. Deep House, basically the same as Melodic House, just leave out the guitar sounds. Trap House, a bit too stressful for me. Electro House, did that already in the past. There was like a big Electro House period for 2 years. Everybody asked me to produce Electro House while I was a ghost producer, so no Electro House at the moment. Something fast-paced like DJ Arene in the 90s. No. Tropical House, did one yesterday. Next one also future bass, and more future bass, melodic dubstep. Last comment is also future bass, so I think we have a clear winner. Today will be all about making future bass. Just 5 more minutes, I need to finish my coffee. Of course, I'm already listening to some future bass, and it's actually a super beautiful day. That's nice, but being in here is even way better. Almost nothing beats being in here and doing something creative. I decided to use the Tropical House track from yesterday as a starting point. This will save me a little bit of time. Let me play you what it sounds right now so that you can follow along. Let's change the tempo from 110 to 135. I could also just use half of it and produce the track in the same way, but there is one main reason why I'm picking the one that is faster. It has mostly to do with the sidechaining that I will explain in a bit. First up, changing the kick pattern from a 4 to the floor beat into a half beat. So just deleting everything besides of the first kick. And I'm making 2 bars out of it and add another kick in here to make it more interesting. This one needs to go here actually. The snare needs also to be repositioned to this point here. I will just leave the hi-hat that I played on 8 notes unchanged. In this track at this tempo it's actually like having 16th notes. This gives the track a little bit of speed. I still also have here the open hi-hat as an end variation, but it needs to be placed probably here. Drums sound already quite nice. I already put reverb and EQing on top of all of the elements yesterday. It's way easier to produce a beat that is only half of the speed. You have way more space in between of the elements, and it's also way easier to get a clean sound. The slower the track, the easier it is to get a good sound. Next up is the bass. I will just keep the MIDI melody the same as yesterday. I just need to make the bass sound way deeper. The best choice for this job is probably the sub-boom bass. I found an extremely subby bass. I don't know if you will even be able to hear it over the camera, but I've opened the analyzer so you can at least see it. Because the bass is playing so low, it totally makes sense to layer it with another bass sound that is also playing frequencies that are in a more hearable range also on smaller speakers. I'm just copying the track, also copying the MIDI bass part, and search for another sound. I'm just taking this very simple saw bass line here out of the ACE. It's time to put sidechaining onto both basses. That's also the reason why I picked the faster tempo. I'm just copying down the kick and change the kick pattern back to a 4 to the floor beat. I'm just using the kick as a trigger, so I'm routing it to bus number 1, and I'm giving bus number 1 no output so that you can't actually hear the trigger kick. But the sidechaining compressor that is on top of the basses will be triggered by it, and it will be triggered in 1/8 notes, which is really typical for future bass. In EDM and house music, you use the sidechaining to just lower the bass whenever the kick hits to give it a bit more space in the mix. With future bass, you use it way more heavily, more as a pumping effect that is going throughout the track on 8 notes. This just makes the track feel a lot faster than it actually is. So now you will be able to see that the sidechaining is going on 4 times as fast as the kick is actually playing, and this will give it this really pumpy feel. I will exaggerate a bit with lowering the threshold just to let you be able to hear the pumping. Next, adding the piano chords that I made yesterday. The typical thing here is to let the chords stop whenever a clap hits. Here is a clap hitting. I'm taking the chords, I shorten them and play it again. That's what I end up with. With the piano, it doesn't sound at all like future bass. Of course, we will need another sound. It needs to be a synthy sound that is wide open and has a lot going on throughout the entire frequency spectrum. And again, just go through the presets until I find one that gets close to the sound that I need. This HS Fatima Poli sound could work. It sounds terrible at the moment, but I think I can make it work. I just need to change a couple of settings here. Designing the right synthi sounds that you have in mind is really time consuming. I have a certain style of sound in my head. I want to get close to it, and there are like millions of settings that you have to get right to really get that sound. It's like trying to draw something for the first time that you have in mind. It's super hard, you have to train it. Same with designing synthi sounds. I think now, almost 20 minutes later, I got the right sound with the right filter settings. That's what it sounds like. Of course, also here sidechaining to have that pumpy feel. I started arranging a little bit. I have now here a break part with the piano from yesterday that was also in the break part. I have a little effect here that transitions to the beat part with the chord steps. Next thing that we need is a top melody. Just out of curiosity, I took the tropical house melody from yesterday, replaced the Korg M1 sound by this Diva synthi sound, and I think it actually works. It's kind of funny how you can change a tropical house track into a future bass track just by changing a couple of the core elements. And that's what I was talking about yesterday. Every style of music has certain rules. If you follow them, you will end up with something that sounds like it. Last thing missing are the chopped up vocal bits. I will show you how this is done within Logic. For your music making program, this will be different. I just can't play you what I'm making because I'm using vocals that I don't have the right to share with you. I don't want to get into trouble again, so I will just show you the concept, how this is done. That's my little vocal sample. I'm just cutting everything away that I don't need. I will just use one word or one syllable. Then clicking it and convert it into a sample track. This will open up this little box. You just press OK. Logic is then creating for you a new track that has the EX24 in it. Click onto edit and this panel will open up where you can tell the EX24 how to treat the sample, where to place it onto the keyboard, which range it should play, and that's how you will be able to play the vocal chop pitched on the piano roll as a normal instrument. Just make sure that the sample that you pick is on the right note, otherwise everything will be just shifted up or down, which will make it harder to play. Making this future bass track was a whole lot of fun. I really like that it's so energetic and bright. That's exactly what my Not Scared track needs. I already started yesterday changing the beats to already a beat in the style of this track. This sounds really good. Now I will try and see if the sounds that I've created today will also work on the Not Scared track. Now almost 7 again. I spent the entire day working on the Not Scared track. I finally solved my problems. Making the future bass track really helped me. I like it so much I'm even considering keeping on working on the track. It of course still needs a lot of effects and adjustment to the synthi sounds. It's all not perfect, but this is going into a direction I like. So let me know what you think. It's now almost 7, and if there's one thing I like even more than spending my time in the studio, it's spending my time with Vanessa, and she's already waiting here. Hello! I was just talking about you. Oh. Just nice things.